For graphing inequalities. So we've just finished solving equations. We're going to move into inequalities, and if you remember from what we did in Unit 1, inequalities are anything but an equal sign. So it could be less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. So they're not going to be equal to a number, they're going to be one of these. So let's just kind of do a couple of these remembering equations and see how they compare to the inequality. So when we were solving equations, we did the opposite operation on both sides. So in this example, A would be equal to 9. So we haven't practiced graphing it, but if we were to graph the equation, these would be my negative numbers on the left side, and then these would be my positive numbers. So 9 would be about here, and if A is equal to 9, this is where it would be. It would be on this mark on the number line. Okay? Same thing with this one. To get x by itself, we would subtract 8. So we would get x is equal to 13. And if we were to mark that on our number line, again, here are the positives, here are the positives, here are the negatives. So 13 would be about here, and it would be on this point on the number line. So how many answers did you get? For equations, there's only one answer, and exactly one answer. When we're moving into inequalities, we're going to start graphing these, and there's going to be more than one answer, many more answers for most of them. So let's start with greater than and less than, and what they look like just by graphing them. So you're not going to have to solve anything. I just wanted you to practice graphing them today. So if you have a greater than, which looks like this, or a less than inequality, you're going to have an open circle on your number line. So it's going to look like this when you graph it. So for example, if you have x is greater than 4, so just remind yourself that this means greater than, you're going to find 4 on your number line. You're going to put an open circle. The reason we do that is because x cannot be equal to 4. So if I shaded this circle in, it would mean that it could be equal to 4. But what this is saying is it's just greater than that. So now you have to think, where on the number line are numbers that are greater than 4? Well, it would be this side of your number line. So what you're going to do is very different than equations. You're going to shade in everything that's greater than 4. Because if I were to plug some of these numbers in, let's see if it's true. So let's just pick 8. So if I rewrote this, 8 is greater than 4. Is that true? Yes, it's true. So that means any number that's greater than 4 could fit for this inequality. So let's look at what it means, or what it would look like to graph something if it's less than. So we're still going to have an open circle, so we're going to go to 5 on the number line. It can't be equal to 5, so that's why it's open. And we're going to shade in everything that is less than 5. So things on this side are going to be less than. So I'm going to shade in everything on this side of the number line. You can plug it in just to be sure. So let's pick negative 10. Is negative 10 less than 5? Yes, it is. So I shaded correctly. Alright, let's see what it looks like if we have greater than or equal to attached to it. So you have greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. You're going to have a closed circle. So for example, when you see this line underneath, that means that it could be greater than 0 or the number could be equal to 0. So we have greater than or equal to. So I'm going to go to 0. It could be equal to 0, so I'm going to shade that in. But it could also be everything that's greater than 0. So that would be everything on this side of the number line. You can check it by picking one of those numbers. 7 is greater than or equal to 0. Well, that is true, so it checks out. And last one, x is less than or equal to. So I'm going to have a closed circle at negative 2, because it could be equal to that. And everything less than that is going to be on this side. So let's try it. We have negative 10 is less than or equal to negative 2, and that checks out. So that's just to practice graphing. what it's going to be looking like. You're going to be doing a lot of that in the next few sections. The next thing I might ask you to do is go backwards. So look at a graph and tell me what the inequality might look like. So for example, this one, what I usually start with is, I know I'm going to have a variable because I don't know what it's asking me. So I'm going to start with an x. It's at number 4. So I'm going to write x and 4. I'm going to leave a spot in between. So I know it's either going to have to be less than or greater than because it's an open circle. So what is shaded? Everything that is greater than 4 is what's shaded. So I know my inequality is going to be greater than. X is greater than positive 4. Alright, let's look at this one. So I'm going to start with writing that x. It's at a -5, so I'm going to write -5. It's a closed circle, so I know it's either going to be less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. And everything that's shaded seems to be less than that, so I know I'm going to be less than or equal to. So this is just kind of working backwards. So that's graphing. We're going to do some practice with that and then move into